It's a new week. Hello, good evening. It's News 360 coming to you live from the News Hub here at Adesa Wekanda. I am Portia Gabo.
And I am Martin Asiedu Date. Let's look at the headlines for the next 1 hour.
News 360 headlines is brought to you by
Flamingo Paint,
Pepsodent Charcoal and Pepsodent Herbal,
EcoBank.
Tonight, Ghana formally joins 6 other African countries to roll out an e-visa system as the continent marks AU Day.
Meanwhile, the idea of a united Africa is threatened due to increased xenophobic attacks in South Africa, as first Ghanaians expected to be flown home on Tuesday.
Also coming up, the Ghana Health Service assures that Ghana is fully prepared to contain any Ebola and hantavirus outbreaks in the country.
Later in business news, a finance and tax analyst urges market participants and the public to remain calm over recent fall of the cedi, indicating there is no need to panic.
And on the foreign front, the World Health Organization Director General says the fast-moving Ebola outbreak in the Democratic Republic of Congo and Uganda is outpacing response efforts. We have details of all these stories and more, including business and sports, so let us know what you make of the stories we have for you tonight.
In our first story, Ghana has now joined 6 other countries on the continent to roll out an e-visa system which will take a maximum of 48 hours to be issued. This was revealed by President John Mahama, who used the occasion to reiterate his call that Ghana is open for business and called on other African countries to implement the AU Protocol on Free Movement of Africans as the continent marks 63 years since the formation of the Union.
Long before the formation of the Organization of African Unity, OAU, in 1963, with the aim of promoting unity, Ghana had been advocating Pan-African ideals and championing integration through trade and economic independence for the continent. To further advance this cause, Ghana on Monday, May 25, launched a portal to facilitate the easy issuance of visas for African nationals and persons from around the world who wish to visit Ghana. President Mahama, who takes over the chairmanship of the African Union in 2027, says Ghana's launch of the e-visa system is to fast-track the borderless concept of a united Africa.
The electronic visa system, or e-visa, will allow travelers from all around the world to apply for visas online. They would upload the supporting documents electronically and make their secure digital payments and receive travel authorization in their emails or on their phones. It is fitting that we launch this initiative on Africa Day, the 25th of May. On this day, we are not merely unveiling a digital visa platform. We are reaffirming Ghana's historic commitment to Pan-Africanism, African unity, and continental integration.
Foreign Affairs Minister Samuel Okudzeto-Ablakwa dismissed assertions that rolling out a free visa policy for African passport holders and an e-visa system would compromise Ghana's national security.
Databases that ensure that vetting and screening is enhanced. So for those who think that the new regime of openness means that we are going to undermine our security, you heard it from the Minister of the Interior. We have put in place the needed mechanisms to ensure that even as we open up our country, we do not undermine the security and the stability of our country.
The e-visa application fee is $260 and will take 48 hours for a decision to be made. Another interesting aspect of what the president presented is the fact that from August 2026, anybody traveling out of the country, especially those going out, will not have to remove their shoes or take out their laptops and liquids from their luggage, because a new machinery is going to be installed at the airport, which the president says is going to take away or do away with that kind of inconvenience. We'll update you when that actually is rolled out later this year in August. Martin Esiedudate for TV3 News, Accra. And still on the same subject matter, the idea of one Africa has long been one of the continent's proudest promises. But recurring xenophobic attacks in South Africa are raising fresh concerns about whether the African Union is doing enough to protect the unity. Even after a formal petition by the government of Ghana, critics say that the AU has remained largely silent on the matter. There's more in this report.
For decades, African leaders have spoken about a united continent where Africans can move and live freely beyond their borders. But recurring xenophobic attacks in South Africa continue to cast doubt over that vision. The violence against African nationals in South Africa has sparked growing calls for the African Union to take a firmer stance with the government of Ghana among countries that have formally petitioned the EU to act. Yet critics argue the continental body has still not responded strongly enough. International relations expert Professor Daniel Dramani Kiposunyezi believes the silence from the continental body risks weakening the very idea of African integration and free movement.
I think that our continental body, African Union, has been very lenient to South Africans, and I expect that the continental body should have taken drastic measures against the South African authority. The very continental unity that our forefathers fought, including Nelson Mandela, who was also a visionary looking for the unity of the continent. I don't think Mandela will be happy to see that the country that he fought for their freedom, the man which African leaders supported, including Ghana, political liberation of South Africa, that country has now turned it back, torturing, molesting, attacking the very people who fought for their liberation. Sadly, they have overlooked the very regime that suppressed them with racial segregation, and they have turned to the vulnerable one, torturing them.
For Africa Union Eminent Peace Ambassador Bishop Samuel Ben Owusu, his disappointment goes beyond the African Union itself.
I'm not disappointed by the African Union. You know, I'm disappointed by the Africans, because the character we have is what we have carried into the AU. Our, actions will take time to come into the value of human lives. Sometimes we are waiting for something serious to happen to somebody before we say, oh, okay, there's an emergency. This thing started not today. It started small, and now we are getting there. If we are not careful, this will become an African problem. And you see, sometimes there are superpowers that are behind these kind of things that are happening. So I will encourage the African Union. We have put petitions. We have asked the African Union to talk about it and do something about it. And I think that there's going to be a change.
As Africa marks another AU Day with renewed calls for unity and continental progress, many observers say the real test of African integration may not only lie in policies and speeches, but in how boldly the continent responds when Africans themselves come under attack in fellow African states. Because for many, the dream of one Africa cannot thrive where fear, division and silence still exist among Africans themselves. Safwa Boyne, TV3 News.
And away from the African Union, the threat of Ebola may not be new to Ghana, but the question remains, how prepared is the country to the threat? Sarah Apenkor has been assessing the country's preparedness at ports of entry and infectious disease centers with officials.
At the heart of Ghana's response strategy are specialized infectious disease and isolation centers established to contain highly infectious diseases before they spread into communities. Facilities such as the Ghana Infectious Disease Center, along with designated treatment and isolation units in regional hospitals, are expected to play a critical role should a suspected Ebola case emerge. Checks at the center, which played a critical role during the COVID-19 outbreak, indicate it is in good condition and ready to receive and isolate patients, support laboratory testing, protect healthcare workers, and coordinate emergency response measures. Private facilities have not been left out. Another critical area in focus is the country's ports of entry. At the Accra International Airport, port health workers are seen attending to travelers with available screening tools. Although a few gaps were identified, health officials maintain that the country is ready in the event of a case.
Yeah, so the thermal thermometers that we have 9 of them. They are being fixed as we talk. We have the people fixing them, but they are being substituted by the handheld ones, which do the same thing. And we have that available, and that is already being done. So we hope that within the course of the week, it will even facilitate the free movement of people. We are well prepared and ready. People have institutional memory of what happened in 2014, 2016. We still have that experience from managing COVID, and people were already prepared for hantavirus, and now Ebola came to overlap it, and so we are very much well prepared. We went through the flow. If a patient should come in or passengers come in, how we get the opportunity to see, and this is a collaboration work. The guideline will be well polished between all the stakeholders, and then we'll come out with a unique command system.
As of May 24, the WHO reports 900 suspected Ebola cases and 200 deaths, with Ghana's risk level classified as low. Health officials say lessons from the 2014-2016 West Africa Ebola outbreak will continue to guide preparedness efforts in the country. Sarah Apenko, TV3 News, Accra International Airport.
Now, the Aircraft Accident and Incident Investigation and Prevention Bureau is making public the report of the Tema light aircraft accident despite the Ghana Police Service failing to present the autopsy report to the Bureau. Stakeholders are expected to work on recommendations within 90 days when the report comes out. George Queening reports.
After a month and a few weeks, the Aircraft Accident and Incident Investigation and Prevention Bureau, AIB Ghana, is set to make public the report of the Tema light aircraft crash, which occurred in March this year. According to the Commissioner, John M.K. Mboti, the Bureau is well prepared to address the public tomorrow, which is May 26. And this is 2 days ahead of the original date, which was slated for May 29.
We have done a diligent work. We have gone into all length to find out what really happened, and so tomorrow we're going to bring that out, the factual information that we get it, the analysis that we've done with the factual information. Anything that we've done, we are going to let you know tomorrow. We'll give the report tomorrow, and also we have some recommendations that we have said them so that tomorrow we will let the public know.
John M.K. Nwoti touched on some hindrances in the gathering of information.
There were some few things that we needed to add, and that has really delayed. Otherwise, like the autopsy reports and other things that we're waiting for, those still we haven't got them, but we have to go ahead. We've written to the police several times, and they are not responding to us. So we cannot wait because we have a mandate, and we have to also meet ACAO standards, and so we have to go. That is why we have set tomorrow as the day to make the report public.
In March, it was quite difficult for people to contact the Bureau, and so the Bureau is making things easier. In case of any emergency, this is the contact number to call.
0800006007, and our short code is 899*14#.
For all updates on this very report, the right place to be is TV3, so keep watching TV3 in that regard. George Quinn, TV3 News, AIB Ghana, Accra.
In more news tonight, Accra's flood crisis is deepening as another downpour has left homes submerged, properties destroyed, and residents fleeing for safety in parts of the capital. In Kokroko, within the Wejatbawi municipality, victims say poor drainage and unchecked development continue to turn every major rainfall into a disaster. A report by Stanley Nibleu.
Parts of Accra continue to experience worsening flooding situation with each downpour. Last Friday's rainfall not only inundated homes, but also wreaked havoc in affected communities, including Kokroko in the Wejagbaw municipality, breaking fence walls and destroying electronic appliances. This apartment is one of the hardest hit by floods in the Wejagbaw municipality. On Monday morning, May 25, I visited the area to assess how flood victims are coping with the aftermath. On the news team's arrival, occupants of the apartment had perforated holes beneath their building to drain accumulated flood waters. But just before they could heave a sigh of relief on Monday, another situation unfolded. What started as droplets of rain gradually intensified, inundating the vicinity. The only storm drain in the area, which conveys large volumes of water to the sea, within minutes overflowed its banks, forcing runoff back into residents' rooms. The occupants then fled to safety for the second time in less than a week. Others who were not at home when the rain started rushed back to salvage their belongings. The floodwaters quickly spread, taking over homes.
So the time say hi pa it's me inside baby and then I say nya baby mponda I say you be gina container nanim sa ma de achi hi pa so to say enema ni na say
Regina and her family face a similar ordeal.
Na we mpo de asase
Where kitwa
and for and so na started and said
Flooding within this community is not new. The first major flooding incident in the area occurred on June 3, 2015. Since then, subsequent downpours have continued to wreak havoc on surrounding communities. Kokroko, like other flood-prone areas, has a marshy topography that has been filled over the years. Gutters are also non-existent. Other areas, including Sakaman and Dakuma Junction, were also flooded on Monday, while the Odo River overflowed its banks after nearly an hour and a half of rain. The Ghana Meteorological Agency has warned of more rains this year. As the rains set in, the National Disaster Management Organization, NADMO, is urging residents in low-lying areas to evacuate to higher grounds for safety. As residents count their losses and brace for more rains, the recurring floods are once again exposing Accra's weak drainage systems, uncontrolled development, and poor spatial planning. Without urgent enforcement of building regulations, expansion of storm drains, and sustained desilting exercises, communities like Kokroko may continue to relive the same devastation with every major downpour. Stanley Nibleu, TV3 News, Accra.
On to some other social concerns, and there are concerns growing over the worsening state of lighting at the Kwame Nkrumah interchange, an area widely regarded as one of the capital city's busiest commercial and transport hubs. Motorists and pedestrians along this area have been plunged into darkness without functioning streetlights, raising concerns among commuters and residents about safety and visibility. My colleague Noura Mohammed has been to these parts of the capital and brings us this report.
Some parts of the Kwame Nkrumah Circle interchange, particularly the Monument and Fountain Enclave, as well as the overhead, are now engulfed in darkness. And over the past few weeks, many concerns have been raised over safety and visibility for motorists and commuters around this area, in an area that was once considered vibrant and known for its nightlife.
Many residents and commuters attribute the situation to the theft of streetlight cables, while others blame authorities for poor maintenance and the lack of surveillance systems to deter such acts. Some are also calling for the installation of CCTV cameras around the enclave to help identify and arrest persons involved in vandalizing public infrastructure.
5-6 years in so left before the light pole, if you want to that's about 5-6 years and so.
For about 5 to 6 years now, the street lights along the overhead area, as well as close to the runabout area, have not been working. The government should fix it so that pedestrians are able to walk safely.
Let's say a person who will trouble me and say, "I so say trouble." I dear son, you can't move the best of fancy anyway.
Light lady, a call of a check by the Numidian light, it me run about you now. We are going to so far overhead. Boys seem to me attack with
It's been long since they went off. It's not safe because a lot of robberies and attacks occur in the absence of light. We are pleading with the government to fix the light and position security to monitor and arrest the scrap dealers who steal cables from the street lights.
The fountain area, which houses the Kwame Nkrumah Monument, was once admired for its colorful illumination and lively nighttime atmosphere, attracting commuters, visitors, and tourists alike. Today, much of that glow has faded, with large sections of the area now left in darkness. For many, the situation reflects the growing challenge of maintaining public infrastructure in the capital, and if urgent action is not taken, this enclave will move from a vibrant and attractive hub to an accident-prone one. Nura Mohammed, TV3 News, Accra.
Let's now go to the courts where lawyers of former National Signals Bureau have lamented about the frequency of objections raised by the state prosecutors in the ongoing trial of Kwabena Aduboahin and his wife. Lead counsel Samuel Atacha laments that several of the objections raised by the Deputy Attorney General are needless and serve to delay the trial. Lord Idwasari reports.
Mildred Donko, the second prosecution witness, continued giving evidence on Monday, May 25, when the case was called. During cross-examination by defense lawyer Samuel Atacha, the former director of Advantage Solutions, now prosecution witness, admitted in court that bank statements indicated cash transfers were made to former National Signals Bureau director Kwabena Aduboahin. Reading from bank statements showing transfers on 9th July and 3rd December 2018, the witness noted that sums of 1.7 million and 402,000 cedis were sent to Aduboahin's account. Lawyers for Aduboahin sought to establish that the accounts of the former National Signals Bureau director were active long before he was accused of setting up the accounts to steal and launder money. Atacha then tendered email documents showing bank transfers of 1.65 million cedis and 400,000 cedis from Aduboahin's account into a Fidelity Bank account. However, this was rejected after Deputy Attorney General Dr. Justice Remsai raised an objection arguing that it was irrelevant to the timelines of the offences the National Signals Bureau director has been charged with. The court had earlier admitted into evidence email documents showing bank transfers of 1.7 million cedis and 402,000 cedis to accounts of Kwabena Aduboahin. The prosecution witness subsequently told the court that Aduboahin's BNC Communications Bureau Limited was closed in March 2023. Reacting after proceedings on Monday, defense lawyer Samuel Atacha expressed dissatisfaction at the rates at which the prosecution raised objections during cross-examination.
Attorney General should tone down the objection, which are needless anyway, to be able to make a lot of progress. We are appealing them. Yes, if you say that this is the document in which the 49.1 million was transferred into, but the judge said, I don't want to see the document. How can you say this is a very serious, ruling? We are going to appeal because the 49.1 million was not put in a pot under somebody's bed.
Kwabena Aduboahin and his wife have been charged with multiple charges, including stealing, causing financial loss to the state, and money laundering in relation to a 49.1 million cedis cyber security defense software contract for the national security. The case has been adjourned to Tuesday, May 26. Lord Idwasari, TV3 News, Accra.
Now, climate experts warn that without urgent action, Ghana could face worsening impacts of flooding and extreme heat already affecting communities nationwide. At the Climate Change and Health Education Professional Development Workshop, experts expressed concern over the government's failure to allocate part of its $12 million climate budget for training teachers to effectively teach climate change.
Climate change in Ghana is a pressing crisis, threatening food security, health, and livelihoods. Several communities along Ghana's coast continue to feel the impact of rising sea levels. Despite ambitious national strategies, critical gaps remain. Ghana requires an estimated $22.6 billion to meet its climate goals. Associate Professor Samuel Cornelius Yakun of Indiana University, Ghana, emphasized the need to integrate climate change studies into the basic education syllabus.
Of the 12 billion that they've spent on climate mitigation in Ghana, I tell you, not even $1 has been put into training teachers to effectively teach climate change. So I think they should look at bringing courses like environmental science, earth sciences, geosciences into the basic education curriculum, because we're losing a lot. If you look at the syllabus, the basic education syllabus from primary 1 to GHS 3, the climate concepts, students are supposed to learn are very shallow, and then there are not a lot of, such concepts in it as well.
Programs Manager at Indiana University Ghana Gateway, Dr. Abigail Messi Opontete, highlighted the dangers of misinformation, stressing the gap between what is taught in classrooms and what is broadcast publicly.
The gap is that there's a disconnect between what we hear on the radio and what the teachers teach, the curriculum and all of that. So coming here, bringing these teachers together, doing a curriculum based on the Ghanaian context, the teachers are supposed to go. We are building the capacity for them to go and teach when they go to their various schools. So the fact that they are going to empower teachers for them to go and teach, it means that is a ripple effect. They are not only empowering only these 60 teachers, but then they will go out there and also impact it in their community.
Experts caution that secondary diseases are being fueled by climate change and warn that if the warming trend is not addressed, health risks will escalate. Beatrice Soa, TV3 News, Accra.
After decades of studying in a mud structure, pupils of Adakwa Methodist Primary School in the Suhu municipality now have a new 6-unit classroom block. The facility, handed over by Nestle Ghana and Ecom Ghana, is expected to improve teaching and learning while providing a safer and more comfortable environment for both pupils and teachers.
Pupils, teachers, traditional leaders and residents of Adakwa in the Suhu municipality gathered in excitement for the commissioning and handing over of a new 6-unit classroom block for the Adakwa Methodist Primary School. For the community, the project marks a major improvement after nearly 90 years of teaching and learning in a mud structure. Speaking at the event, the managing director of Nestle Ghana noted that the partnership with Ecom Ghana also included the commissioning of another school in the Akroma community in the central region, describing the initiative as part of effort toward improving access to quality education in Ghana.
We source cocoa from these communities and we want to see them strive in a sustainable way. We have today inaugurated 2 schools and 3 more to come just for 2026. The planet, for example, it's also another big part of our commitment. And for example, if you go inside this classroom, you will see that the desks that are there are made of recycled plastic. Yes, plastic is a big problem for us in Ghana. We are tackling it.
Country head for Ecom Ghana, Sudu Kumar, expressed hope that the facility will be properly maintained for future generations.
I think it will go a long way in nurturing the community, nurturing the children. Not only the children, the whole country. As I said, investing in education, that means investing in the country, investing in Ghana.
Headmaster of Adakwa Methodist Primary School, Emmanuel Paddy, highlighted the impact the facility will have on both teaching and learning.
The children were not coming to school frequently. Sometimes they get sick. The place is too hot. When it's raining like this, all academic work stop. But this one helps us to increase our academic performance. I want to thank Nestle Ghana Limited, Ecom Ghana Limited for helping us to see this edifice.
Some pupils also shared their excitement about the new facility.
You're still watching News 360 on TV3. We have business, sports, and entertainment right after this. Stay with us.
are more and more professionals choosing Flamingo paint.
Flamingo paint has great hiding ability to cover and transform old walls easily with just one coat.
With just small paints, I think.
Business News segment is brought to you by MTN. 4 points by Sheraton Accra Airport Hotel.
Hello there, good evening and welcome to the business segment here on News 360. I am Michael Obodu. Now, finance and tax analyst Nelson Kujo-Kwagbeji has urged market participants and the public to remain calm over the recent depreciation of the cedi, characterizing the currency's downturn as a normal cyclical market phase rather than a systemic economic failure. The cedi has emerged as the weakest performing currency in sub-Saharan Africa across April and May, losing over 10% of its value against the dollar since the beginning of 2026.
Speaking of the market dynamics, Kwagbeji explained that the pressure on the local currency is heavily tied to predictable seasonal trends.
As at first quarter of 2025, the cedi depreciated by some 5.3%. But that same year, the cedi ended up being the best performing currency in Africa. And so this is just an annual cyclical event, and we need not to worry or get panicked by the depreciation of the cedi. Now, during the first quarter, what normally happens is that most multinational companies try to repatriate, profit back home. And that actually put pressure on, the Ghana cedi.
The analysts maintain that because these pressures are cyclical, the currency is expected to find its footing once the peak demand window subsides.
The IMF criticized the Bank of Ghana for intervening too much in the market. And so what we have seen this time around is that the Bank of Ghana is actually cautious and prudent regarding their intervention approach, within the FX market. And so we believe that this is just an annual cyclical event that will reverse by the end of the second quarter. And so there is no cause for alarm. There is no cause for any worry. The cedi will gather strength and remain stable. We are actually projecting the cedi to, reverse this depreciation trend by the end of the second quarter. By that time, most companies might have finished, repatriating profit back home, and there wouldn't be any much pressure on the Ghana cedi.
Now, the Minister of Lands and Natural Resources, Emmanuel Alma Kofi-Boa, says government has no plans to nationalize mining assets in Ghana. The clarification follows a call by the Institute of Economic Affairs, IEA, for government to reject a proposed 20-year extension of the mining lease for the Takwa mine, which expires in April 2027.
In a statement, the institute urged government to pursue a framework that would ensure meaningful Ghanaian ownership and control of the mine. The Ghana Chamber of Mines has, however, opposed the proposal, warning it could undermine investor confidence and make Ghana less attractive to foreign investment. Speaking at a breakfast meeting organized by the Chamber, the sector minister stressed that Ghana remains open to investors who can bring value to the economy.
The government of Ghana has not fashioned out a blanket policy of nationalizing anything, but we deal with issues on case-by-case basis. Our goal is to make sure that we empower Ghanaians in the industry. We help build Ghanaian capacity. Our goal is to partner with investors who come to Ghana with the understanding that they are going to have a good return on their investment. They will also leave behind expertise and help add value to our industry and make sure that the resource owners are empowered by the time they leave here.
Chief Executive Officer of the Ghana Chamber of Mines, Kenneth Ashigbe, said the minister's comments were in line with the position of the chamber.
These are positions that we as the chamber also hold, and the move about wanting to ensure that Ghanaians get maximum out of our natural resources, we believe, can happen in partnership with the private sector.
Now, the Ghana Association of Banks has launched a comprehensive anti-fraud campaign. The campaign is aimed at equipping Ghanaians with the knowledge and tools to identify, prevent, and report fraudulent activities.
I was this close to moving everything to the account number they gave me. Hey.
Ghana's digital landscape has grown exponentially, creating modern and efficient forms of digital transactions for millions. But with growth comes challenges with fraudulent schemes. This threatens not just individuals, but the digital financial system of Ghana. Kwamina Asumenin is president of Ghana Association of Banks and chief executive for Stanbic Bank Ghana Limited.
The fraud comes in two parts. The first part is fraud that is committed by outsiders, third parties, against our customers and against the banks themselves. And then the second is fraud that is perpetrated with the support or connivance of employees, bank employees. Both have seen a spike over the last few years to the point where we feel that the very essence of banking, which is built on trust, is being attacked by these fraudsters.
The association is championing the anti-fraud awareness campaign over the next 6-month period. The initiative, with the tagline "Shine Your Eye," aims at reducing fraud incidents, drive behavioral change, and empower victims.
The launch we've had here is the beginning of a new era where banks are confronting the scourge of fraud. All our activities are done with the underlying principle that the institutions that we all represent are safe, they are reliable, and fraud is an attack on that trust. And once that trust erodes, it's just so hard to restore it.
The Ghana Association of Banks, representing 24 member institutions, is leading a unified effort to protect consumers from fraud.
And that'll be all for the business segment here on News 360. I am Michael Obodu. We'll bring you updates now from the currency and the commodities market. 360 with me, Oreku Ampofo. We start off with the Ghana Premier League, which has come to its conclusion after 34 game weeks. We've seen the curtain being drawn on the 2025-2026 season. Now, 3 Sports' Mutala Yakubu, who has been on the grounds for the entirety of the season, brings us this wrap.
Weeks of excitement in the Ghana Premier League all comes to an end. The 2025-2026 season has ended here at the Accra Sports Stadium, where the Heart of Folk bowing out on the high with a 4-2 victory over champions Mediema. Mediema won the league last weekend when they beat Heart of Lions, and Gold Stars actually lost to Dreams FC. For the title was already wrapped up before this game, but for Heart of Folk, it was important for them to solidify their position in the top 4, and they did just that by beating Mediema by 4-2. But elsewhere, shocker. Swedro All Blacks, who were in danger of being relegated, went all the way to Kumasi to beat Asante Kotoko by 2-1, with Samba Onel, Asante Kotoko captain, missing a penalty in the process. This means that despite the fact that Nations FC also won in Karela, Nations FC have been relegated and Swedro All Blacks have survived. There was history elsewhere with Atakumi, Gold Star striker, becoming the first ever Ghana Premier League player to score 6 goals in a single game. So the top 4, this is how it looked. Mediema on top of form and on top seed with 1, then Gold Stars finished 2nd, then we had Heart of Folk finishing 3rd, and Dreams FC finishing 4th. You're wondering where Asante Kotoko finished. They finished 8th on the league table. Season has ended, and we'll be looking forward to the 2026-2027 season.
To some more stories where former Ghana captain Asamoah Gyan has called on Ghanaians to rally behind new Black Stars coach Carlos Queiroz as the national team prepares for the 2026 FIFA World Cup. Speaking in an interview with 3 Sports, Gyan urged supporters to stand firmly behind the coach and the players during this important period.
Now, things seems to not be going in our way. And as an experienced person, when you are home and you feel like your security is not good, you have to fix your security first to make sure people don't enter first before you can think about the other things. So I think we should be more defensively sound in our game before we think about other things. You know, if we don't fix our defense, opponent can penetrate easily, because it looks like now we are conceding in every game.
Yeah.
So if we are able to be more defensive sound, like what the Moroccans did in Qatar,
yeah,
and what we did in 2010,
yeah,
I think it's something that will help. You know, I'm a technical man outside, but I'm not a coach. You know, but that's my advice. We should be more defensive sound, not to concede before we can think about the other things.
Well, that was Asamoah Gyan speaking there. We'll be releasing more snippets ahead of the full interview, which will be aired later this week on 3 Sports. My name is Oreku Ampofo, and that's how we wrap up the sports segment here on News 360.
In my line of work, a confident smile is everything. Kale Charcoal Toothpaste keeps me on top of my game and ensures my smile is always radiant and bright.
With the tiring nature of my job, we spend several hours under the scorching sun. To keep our teeth white and our breath fresh all the time, we use none other than Kale Charcoal Toothpaste. Kale Charcoal Toothpaste. You're on a Kessie and in a kit one.
Samayo can be.
Black Sharif, popularly known as Blacko, together with his team, stepped out in style on Monday afternoon at the premises of Guinness Ghana to receive the 100,000 Ghana cedis package as promised by the company. Having supported the award scheme for years, the head of marketing and innovation at Guinness Ghana explained why the company chose to invest in this particular category. According to her, the initiative is not only meant to support the artist's next project, but also to recognize the immense effort, creativity, and potential behind the award-winning album.
What piece of work actually embodies an artist? It's not just one song, it's not just one act. An Artist of the Year, yes, is big on its own, but the album really speaks the work that the person has put in over the years. Album of the Year for us was very important because we realized that it's a batch of ingredients. It's a lot of things coming together to make one classic piece of work, just like our brands, just like the ingredients that come together to make a bold black Guinness. So Album of the Year for us was just opportune. It was the best decision for us. We believe that supporting this year means that when we invest behind an artist for now, we're investing not just in today, but we're also investing in the future and ensuring that these artists continue to give good music, continue to do good work, and put Ghana on the map, as always.
Beaming with excitement, TGMA Artist of the Year, Blacko expressed his gratitude to Guinness Ghana for fulfilling its promise. He also called on Ghanaians and his fans to continue supporting his artistry and musical journey.
Big love to Guinness. You know, they made a promise and they've made it come through. And we also made our promises and we'll make it come through. Today we've come for the check. We go cash the money. And then we go see what we go do to the money, as we said. Yes, and thank you guys so much for the support. It because of you we catch this money. You understand me? We love you. Keep supporting, keep watching, keep inspiring me so that I can inspire you back, so that you can inspire me back. You understand? It's an ecosystem. Let's keep supporting each other, keep loving each other, you know.
Following the presentation, Blacko and his team were taken on a brief tour of the facility where they had the opportunity to learn more about how some Guinness products are manufactured.
Congratulations one more time going out to Black Sharif. Now to some more stories. A second-year student of the University of Ghana, Amwating Grace, has been crowned the champion of the 2026 quiz on Korea in Ghana. Now speaking after her victory, Grace expressed excitement about the opportunity to represent Ghana at the global finals in Korea later this year.
That matches the following Korean initial consonants to.
The competition, which brought together young Korean language enthusiasts from across the country, was held on Saturday, May 23 at the University of Ghana campus. Contestants competed in several rounds of Korean language and culture quizzes, testing their knowledge of Korean history, pop culture, including K-pop and K-drama, society and language.
The word pear can mean stomach, ship, and pear, all with the same pronunciation in Korean.
In the end, 21-year-old Amwating Grace, a second-year student of the University of Ghana, emerged winner of the competition. Speaking after her victory, Grace said she is thrilled about the chance to represent Ghana on the international stage in Korea later this year. According to her, her interest in Korean language began during the COVID-19 lockdown in Ghana when she started watching Korean movies, anime and K-pop content.
During the quarantine, I started learning the Korean characters alphabet because I was interested in watching the drama without having to read subtitles. So that was what gained my interest, and also I got introduced to the K-pop too.
Grace also shared some of the challenges she faced at the beginning of her language learning journey. Despite criticism from some people around her, she remained determined and focused on her dream of one day working with the Embassy of the Republic of Korea in Ghana or a Korean organization. She noted that Korea's growing presence in Ghana, as well as development initiatives such as Koika programs, inspired her decision to continue studying the language.
And I would like to either work in the embassy or work with a Korean organization. That's why I'm learning the language. Taking the position as the winner, I think I would have to put a lot of preparation and hard work towards it so that I'll be able to.
Well, that's it for the entertainment news segment here on News 360. My name is Noella Donko.
On the international front, the head of the World Health Organization said on Monday that the fast-moving Ebola outbreak in DR Congo and Uganda was outpacing response efforts, given the latest number of suspected deaths at 220. Addressing an online meeting of the African Union about the outbreak, WHO Director General said a delay in detecting Ebola cases meant responders were now playing catching up, and the epidemic was likely to get worse before it gets better.
Thank you so much for watching News 360. My name is Martin Esiedu Date.
And I am Portia Gabo. Good evening.